Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Game Breakdown, the podcast where we break down all different kinds of games. But today we're talking about a broken game that I think
a really broken game.
Yeah, which is obviously on everyone's mind recently, and it is Cyberpunk.
It is indeed Cyberpunk. So Cyberpunk has completely fallen on its face.
Yeah, and it's sad, but I almost kind of feel like, well, you did it to yourselves. Like, I think they're
Did we not predict this in countless podcasts? We said how this was going to fail.
Yeah, I mean, their marketing was ridiculous. It was like they were throwing so much at people that the hype around this game was ridiculous. So, I mean, off the bat, even if it wasn't as bad as it has been for like the previous gen now, I think people would have let it go. Like, there's been a lot of games that have come out that were broke before, like Skyrim and fucking shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
But they just didn't help themselves by marketing it so well and selling this massive dream that everyone went out and bought or pre-ordered it, and then it came out and, like, yeah, just didn't function on the PS4 and Xbox One. So yeah, very, very unfortunate for them. Obviously,
the thing is, if you're gonna hype up that much, like, have the bollocks to back it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get Keanu Reeves to be in your campaign for it. He's the star of the game. Like, you put forward all these different things you can do, and then just as time was going on, they were just slowly chipping away. Like, oh, by the way, it's no longer going to be a third person game. Oh, by the way, you might not be able to be as creative as you want to be with your, creating a person. Oh, by the way, we're going to delay it again. The second it was delayed, I was like, this game's going to fucking fall apart. There's no way they can do all these things they want to do.
Yeah, I almost feel like there was so many warning flags that we all should have kind of maybe expected it. And I think then the sort of the icing on the cake was, like, just before it was released, all reviewers and journalists and things like that only got PC copies.
Yes.
That should have been a massive red flag to say, right, guys, like, either cancel that pre-order or, like, they're not giving out console copies. Why would they not? This is meant to be fantastic across the board, like, it's meant to be, so. And I think
this to me is very reminiscent of, like, have you ever played, do you remember the Driver scandal, Driver 3? When they hyped that up and did exactly the same thing, and then they released a buggy mess, and they released, like, buggy messes to like PlayStation Magazine and Xbox magazines and what have you, and then said, oh, but this is a really early build, all those bugs are fixed, but what do you think of the game? And they all got like 9 stars out of 10 stars or whatever ratings, all these magazines, and didn't fix any of the bugs just to push it out the gate to sell it. And it was a complete lot of shit. And it's also like the same thing with Watch Dogs, when they had the PC version that could run at full capacity, but all the console versions were dumbed down and looked stupid and were just a mess.
Yeah, and, like, I guess, I mean, maybe it is like a pressure thing, like deadlines happen, and I know that games are getting more difficult. I think the scope of Cyberpunk was maybe slightly too big to have across the board. It is technically a PC game, and it runs apparently fantastic on PC, which it would do because it's like a native PC game. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think pressure gets to game companies now. I just wish they didn't try to please everyone and they just said, look, this is going to be a PC game for another year, another 2 years or whatever, probably another year, and then done it. And if there's any minor bugs, like, they could be done. Rather, now it just feels like we're all testers, playing this game and making sure that all the bugs are given, which I guess is good. Like, we're helping it to be good and get to where it needs to be. I just think it's given them...
It's very optimistic of you.
Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of given them such a bad name. And it's a shame because, honestly, like, okay, so I've actually played the game. So I'm not coming in from, like, a blind perspective. I've been playing it on the PS5 and I've not had any major issues. Of course, I've had issues. Like, one of the main ones for me that kind of stood out would be, I don't know, I'd finish a mission and then I'd kind of just get stuck in an options thing and I'd have to close the game and restart it, but it is quite fast to restart, so it didn't feel like a big issue. And then I had another issue where I got launched up into the sky, which often happens if you get to a certain point in a game, and sometimes if if it kind of, I don't know, like collision or whatever, you'll just get shot in the air, you know, as like a backup plan. That happened, but then I went under the map, and I would just continuously would fall under the map, and I was like, great. Like, I thought maybe I just die and respawn where I should, but no, I had to restart the whole game again. I have not had any crashes, which is really
but that
good.
to me is a big issue. You're like, yeah, it was just really, it's a really small issue. I was fucking flying around the entire map, and I got catapulted 600 miles in the air and fall under the map, but it was fine. Like, it's not a big deal.
I think it's because I know that it's not an issue that may have been easy to reproduce, because when I restarted my game, I didn't have that same issue. So I thought maybe it just slipped through the cracks, you know? It's the crashes, I think, which are the main thing. Now, I've not experienced any crashes.
You are certainly a Christian in the Christmas spirit right now, because that is
everyone,
not
festive joy. Okay. Also, though, I may be biased because I didn't actually pay for the game, because I was
truth's coming out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So my friend bought it, and I was blessed enough to license share with her and play the game for free. So that kind of, I think, all right, if I'd have paid 50 quid for it, I probably would be a lot more pissed off, you know?
And this podcast is sponsored by Project Red. Thanks, friends.
They'll message us like, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's just had a shit launch in it, really. It's been bad, but I generally like the game. I like the atmosphere. It's just really unfortunate on their front. And
the idea was really cool, don't you? Like, looking at the idea, we've said it before, Cyberpunk looked very cool. The ideas they had, the concept of the game, very smart idea. Yep, couldn't wait. And then suddenly it just started to change, and you know, between the two of us, we kind of lost interest in the idea. But you obviously carried on and actually purchased it. But now seeing all the things that have like gone wrong, it's just, you could see it coming a mile off, really. With all the small issues they had through their development, of all the things they shared, you can tell that things were just not going to plan. And then when you get to the fact that they've then sold it out to people, to like reviewers and game tests and stuff with only PC copies, it's like deliberately trying to mislead your audience, which then leads into a piece of information that you recently just found out, is that someone is being sued. Someone called Judge Judy. So explain
Judge Judy.
What is going on. Judge Judy.
So yeah, but yeah, basically they are this lad. Let me try and pronounce his name, because I will try my best. He is called, I'm going to say, Mikolai Ozkezovsky. That could be totally wrong.
Okay.
Sorry if it is. But yeah, he plans
Mikolai.
Yeah, just plans on filing a class action lawsuit against CD Projekt Red.
Oh wow! And what's the grounds of his lawsuit? What's he saying?
The ground is for misleading, in order to obtain financial benefit. And
okay.
He claims that he is one of the shareholders of the company that developed Cyberpunk 2077. Numerous scandals around the release of the project prompt the lawyer to take active steps, due to which the CD Projekt Red share price rushed down. The lawyer is currently collaborating with an unnamed law firm that is analysing the possibility of bringing a class action lawsuit against the company's management to court on the basis of Article 286 of the Polish Criminal Code, fraud. A certain investment portal is also connected to the work. So, I mean, they're basically saying that, like, there's been a lot of people that have been misled. A lot of it's been, like, money focused and all this stuff. And, like, looking at the game, like, I don't even want to know, like, how much is actually, like, the official numbers of fucking how much that money's cost. Like, that game's cost, sorry.
So did that say that he was part of the development team, or a section of the development team?
He is one of the shareholders of the company that developed the game. So
he's obviously got more inside information than the average person would have. So So for him to bring that, I mean, obviously he's just one person so far. It's not like as if 400 people are suing them at the minute. But there obviously is something that he knows that he feels is, you know, worthy in the court of law to bring them down.
I know, which is quite interesting.
Quite scandalous, isn't it?
Yeah, and it sounds like it. So I got in a bit of a rabbit hole of games that have been sued. Naturally, I was like, okay, so I'm going to look into some games that have been sued in the past. Mm-hmm. So one of the ones that made me laugh the most was
our research and development team. Yep.
One made me laugh was San Andreas was.
Is this the hot coffee thing?
Hot coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, sued by the city of Los Angeles for failing to disclose the sexual conduct of the game.
Love that.
The next one's quite sad. Well, no, it is very sad.
Oh no, sad faces. Sad music.
Yeah, in 1997, a 13-year-old was stabbed by his best friend, who was obsessed with Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat were getting sued by the parents.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, until this day, like, violence in games has always been a very like hot topic with children, hasn't it? So
yeah, it's always been a thing. Like violence in games makes you evil, blah blah blah. But
yeah. So and then another one that I came across was Nintendo were getting sued by Universal Studios for their Donkey Kong game because it resembled King Kong too much.
Yes, I've heard about that one.
And then it got decided that, well, King Kong was too sort of, in the public sort of domain, that Universal Studios then had to pay the fees back to Nintendo, which was like 1.8 million. And that's just for that. So you can only imagine the money we're talking if this actually takes off and becomes like, you've tricked millions and millions of people, including, people that were helping the game to come about in order for like financial gain. Like, I just think, fuck it out. So
it's not good. I mean, also this will not be a very positive podcast because Boris has just cancelled Christmas, so we're not feeling in the Christmas cheer at the moment. So Cyberpunk are going to be getting it. So obviously Cyberpunk are not having a great time at the moment. They've clearly they've been sued by somebody, or they're being sued by someone. Mm-hmm. They've had countless glitches. I've seen footage from old gen hardware, I guess you could say, the PS4s and stuff. Looks like it was made on a potato. It does look really bad. But another thing is that they have just been removed from the PlayStation Store the other day.
Yeah, I think so. Sony were like, fuck this.
Yeah, Sony were like, fuck this, get off our store. And they've had much more glitchy messes of games on the store for longer periods of time. And then it made me wonder where this has come from. Has Sony removed them from the store to, I don't know, almost not capitalize, but get involved in all the social media drama that's going on with it? Did they remove them from the store from a good place? Like, do you know what? It's not a good quality product. It needs to come from the store. Or was there something else involved in that? Did Cyberpunk themselves ask Sony to remove the game from the store? Like, I want to know how that actually went down, because it seems a little bit bizarre that things like Skyrim stayed on the store for such a long time without being fixed, and other things, and then Cyberpunk was pulled off very quickly. I mean, it only came out a week and a half ago, if that.
I think it's a mixture of like media and everything just kind of being blown up. Now, I have seen obviously quite a lot of PS4 gameplay and can see that it is quite bad. Like, the frame rate and everything's really bad on it. Mm-hmm. It really should not have been allowed to be purchased on the older systems. I mean, the older systems...
No, I don't know why it was.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand some people's points when they're like, why would you buy this kind of game when you're still playing on like a PS4 that's came out how many years ago?
Yeah.
But then it's not that person's fault because they were led to believe that they could play it on that game, So you can kind of understand both like arguments there.
Yeah, I can see it in the sense of like, because it's so close to the PS5 release date, and let's say that if there was no pandemic going on, a lot of people would be having a PlayStation 4 Christmas. It would be a Christmas present. So you wouldn't necessarily have your PlayStation yet. Do you know what I mean? So not a lot of people would be going out and buying a PS5 version of Cyberpunk because they haven't got a PlayStation 5 yet, I suppose. So you're releasing it at a really, pivotal time where it could go either way. You could either like be swimming in money, or it wouldn't go too well. I kind of get that aspect, so like release it on the PS4 so that way you've got more chance of more people buying it. And the previous Xbox, you've got more people buying it and stuff. But I don't know. I think if you're going to sink that much money into something on current hardware to make it look a certain way, they might as well have released a copy on the SNES as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, really push the boat out. Like, I don't understand why you would release it on really old hardware. Another thing that I saw is Twitch had a little part to play in this as well. Mm-hmm. So, as we all know, we've been talking about it for ages. In Cyberpunk, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff, like create your own genitals and what have you. So obviously there are a few sex scenes in the game, or some form of nudity. So Twitch had to put out a statement because there were multiple people who were banned while playing Cyberpunk, or at least suspended while playing Cyberpunk and streaming these like saucy scenes. So Twitch came out and had to make a Twitter statement. They said, "We've seen some confusion around Cyberpunk 2077 as it relates to our rules it relates to our rules on nudity and sexual content. Our community guidelines allow games that show some sexual content as long as it is not the focus of the game or the core gameplay element. You may now stream these games provided you progress naturally through things like character customization and do not spend excessive time focused on in-game sexual content or nudity. All games are held to the same standard and we are not making any exceptions for Cyberpunk. Please read our guidance here." So some people were spending more than a few minutes looking at the sexual scenes of Cyberpunk, and it was causing their accounts to be suspended, therefore less Cyberpunk being viewed on Twitch.
Okay, all I'm going to say on this, like, I mean, I've not actually got to any of these scenes yet, but during the character customization, which to be honest, I was a little bit let down by, I felt like they made it this big thing, like, yeah, you can do so much, and like, it's pretty basic. Like, it's not basic, it's very detailed. I mean, there's some physics.
Talk us through it.
You know, in some areas.
Talk us through the situation.
Yeah, really
right.
good physics.
Do you actually see?
Oh yeah, you
anything?
see the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, you can choose the size. I mean, there's not really many options in size. It's kind of like small, big, default, like average, I guess. And
small, medium, large. Okay.
But if you go too big, you just constantly see it clipping through your clothes. So, and the same goes for your boobs. Like, you can't have big boobs.
No
in the game.
way.
Yeah. But do you know what though? Like, it looks great. Like, it genuinely looks great. Like, I can't argue there. But people are gonna do it. I mean, I fully appreciate the fact that Cyberpunk are pushing the boat out in that direction. Like, I can't wait to see some stuff and see like what's they actually got in this game. You know, because it seems like it's kind of hyped up, and I kind of want to see what's going on. But people are gonna do that. You know, people are gonna probably enjoy that part and just stream that because that's going to get some reaction, you know, like it's not rocket science, is it? So if you're going to allow that game on your platform, you're going to expect a lot of like dirty scenes to be probably constantly played, because people don't have the opportunity in any game that I know where you can really, apart from if you go like first person in GTA 5, there was like a big thing about that, wasn't there? There was
I remember that.
Yeah, you're going to do it, man. Like, they're just going to go for it. So
it's true. I mean, you can't expect a game that's going to allow you to choose the size of your junk to not have any sexual scenes in it. Do you know what I mean? But I find that really funny that you can make it really large, but then it will still clip through your clothing. So they haven't even... Like, the thing that... no one's going to go like, I'll choose the smallest option. Like, you're going to choose the biggest boobs and the biggest dick, aren't you? Just for the bants of it all. So like, the fact that it doesn't even look normal or look right, then okay.
Well, that's it. I mean, I fully support the fact that people can choose what they want, like whether it fits to how they see themselves or whatever, you know? Like, nothing's kind of... You're not restricted, which I think is really important, especially in this day and age. Like, gaming's the best platform. Like I've said before, gaming's probably the best platform to approach certain issues and make them acceptable, you know, like even though they are acceptable, but a lot of people are still kind of in the dark ages. It's like, fucking hell, like, get with it. There's non-binary people, there's trans people, there's fucking all kinds of people, you know. So it's really great that they have that option. But yeah, like, people are going to kind of flaunt in and do what they want, but yeah, it's going to happen. People are going to do it.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And do you know what? I said from the get-go that I didn't want to play this game because it was first person, and you know, long-time listeners will know that we both have an issue with first-person games, but me more so than you. And I thought, you know what? I'll give it a go, and I'll buy it. And then I went to buy it on the PlayStation Store, and obviously it was not there.
Which is a real shame. I mean, I haven't played it since it's been removed from the store, so I don't know whether we still have it or whether it was an automatic refund. I've not looked into it. But I think people... I don't know. I just think people should still have the opportunity to buy it at their own peril, but should... At their own peril sounds so dramatic.
Peril.
Or just get a, like a refund, no questions asked. I don't know. I don't feel like people shouldn't be allowed to have it, because on the PS5 it is playable. But
the problem is, in that way, you end up, I suppose, almost... I mean, who knows who actually was responsible for the decision of removal, but I suppose it ends up making a long-term mockery of your product, and almost it can lead to more hate. Say 100 people bought it on PS4 and said it was shit, and then it goes out. It's a glitchy mess. Don't buy it. Then 100 more people buy it just to slag it off, and then 100 more, and it just keeps going and going until you've got like thousands of people in your Twitter mentions being like, "This game is shit. You fucked up." Blah 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 blah, and then like the memes start, and you become a bit of a laughing stock. But this is the statement that Cyberpunk released after the PlayStation Store took it off their store. So they tweeted a few things. So first of all, they quoted Sony and said that it was let's read this out. So it said, following our discussion with PlayStation, a decision was made to temporarily suspend digital distribution of Cyberpunk on PlayStation Store. You can still buy physical versions of the game in brick and mortar stores and online. Well, you can't because we're all locked down. All purchased digital and physical copies of the game will continue to receive support and updates as we continue to improve the experience. And they're saying, according to our knowledge, starting today, everyone who is not willing to wait for updates and wants to refund the digital copy of the game can do so by submitting a request to PlayStation. We are working hard to bring Cyberpunk back to PlayStation Store as soon as possible. So they released that, and that was on what day? So that was 2 days ago that Cyberpunk then quoted that from PlayStation. Now, yesterday, there was another statement released by Cyberpunk, and it says, we've just started reaching out to people who sent us a message with confirmation of receipt. We send these emails out in waves, so don't worry if you don't receive an answer immediately. At the time, we'd like you to know that our intention for every owner of a physical copy or a digital copy bought at retail who has valid proof of purchase and sends us an email at this email within our time window to receive a refund. We will do this out of our own pocket if necessary. If you are not able to obtain a refund, blah, 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 blah. So basically, so many people have gone to request a refund that it's caused a backlog, and Cyberpunk have had to release details saying, like, we're getting to you, we promise. But then, the same day, they released 3 tweets in a row saying that they have released a load of hot fixes available on PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. So they're trying to cover all bases. They're trying to sort the game out whilst announcing refunds. And I don't know whether they're hoping that they can get the fixes out before the refunds and people change their mind. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But either way, it's a shit show.
It is a shit show. But it's a shame as well. But then we got to bear in mind that most people are, you know, majority of PlayStation owners at the moment are PS4 owners because of the difficulty with getting on the next gen and the year we've had in affordability and things like that. So the large amount of people that would have purchased that game would have been next gen players, if not PC players, really. So, but yeah, PC's fine, which is going to be. But yeah, no, I mean, they're doing all they can do, and I think when the media gets involved and people start, you know, review bombing. I mean, for example, Death Stranding recently had a Cyberpunk update where you could get like a Cyberpunk style bike, I think, or something, and they were giving you kind of like hacker style missions in the same style as Cyberpunk, so it all kind of went together, and straight away within that day, like, Death Stranding went from being really great to just suddenly getting all these review bombs saying this game's shit, it's this, not even related to Cyberpunk, but just the game in general, just purely because it was relating itself to Cyberpunk. So it's obviously just like keyboard warriors at the same time, just like trying to make a big issue, you know, like, and Cyberpunk they can only do what they can do. I mean, I give props to them for the kind of game they're going to bring out, and it's going to be fantastic. Like, I know it is. I just think it was just a bit premature, and they probably really should not have allowed it on the PS4, but maybe they did just need the money. I mean, maybe there is more to this story with now this court case with Sony taking it directly off the store. Maybe there is like something underneath all that, you know, and it's like, well, they've been really naughty. And
I think so. I think there's been like a big scandal, because if this would have happened 10 years ago, we wouldn't have known as much as we know, and I think the companies wouldn't have taken as much action as that's been taken, if you know what I mean. Because there was a lot of, like we said, previous scandals of like, even of like PS2 game stuff, like I said about the whole Drivergate scandal. I mean, do you remember the whole Drivergate scandal where like Driver 3 was released and there was like people like they like were leaving horrible comments on a forum saying that how the game was terrible, like genuine customers, and then like they hired this social media PR teams like delete responses and only promote positive responses, and like there was a whole big scandal, and it was kind of swept under the rug, and you can't even find that much about it on Google. Like a lot of it was kind of swept away, but now everything is monitored so closely that everything is being picked apart and shared online. So I think the fact they're just kind of a victim of the time, because a lot of their inner workings that would have gone unnoticed are now going to be exposed for everyone to see and hear, which is a shame because the idea of Cyberpunk sounds like a good game, but I don't think it's ever going to reach the heights that it should reach, and I think it's just going to become a bit of a laughing stock, to be honest.
Well, we've said before, like, and it's like anything in life, you can never, you only get one chance at a first impression, and
yeah,
the content they were putting out in their marketing schemes looked fantastic. The game I think was meant to release in April, and they put a trailer out, and at the end of it, it said, you'll get it when it's ready, or it will release when it's ready. And, like, they specifically put that in the trailer at the end. And it was like, just, if only they could have just kind of held to their guns and said, yeah, we're going to keep delaying it. I mean, I'd rather people took the piss out of me for delaying something and then blew their minds with an amazing product than, but then we don't know who was pushing them to release it. Like, it's business at the end of the day, isn't it? It's like, I guess deadlines are there for a reason, and
well, exactly, at the end of the day it costs money, doesn't it? So like, a lot of people will say, they should just kept it going for like another 6 months and like really made sure exactly, like, did they have the money to do that? And maybe they had to push the game out. I mean, my theory is they probably had to push the game out to get the sales, to then have some backup money to help fix the problems that were there. Almost like, because they've sunk years into this, they can't just scrap the projects. Like, it's almost ready for release. It might not work properly, but they have to find some way to make it work and make some money off it somehow. So who really does know at the end of the day? But all we know is that I do hope it comes back out, because even though I'm not a first person game lover, I would like to play it. I would like to give it a go, give it the benefit of the doubt, and see if they can fix these issues that I've seen, because it does look like stupid fun, doesn't it? Really,
it is. Like, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I made my character and I looked at him and I thought, like I really liked how my character looked in game and in creation, which I couldn't say the same for when it came to Andromeda releasing. And still to this day, your in-game character will not look like your creation screen character in Mass Effect Andromeda, whereas Cyberpunk, it was consistent. So like, I appreciate that. The world itself, I just love the atmosphere of it. The missions, the UIs, I mean, I've got a bit of an issue with the UI. I feel like it's really difficult to read. I think the UI is scaled differently. That needs some work. But like, just the kind of the voice acting, the choice of like character starting, it is a really, really enjoyable game. And I mean, I've been slightly kind of like busy with work and things like that, so I've not been able to really sit and play it for hours on end, but I want to. So I don't feel like the issues that I've encountered have detracted from anything. And as a first-person game, I know you said you didn't like the fact that you always felt like you were floating around. It's not like that in this. Like, you look down and you can see, like, your arms and your legs, and, like, when you sit down, you can just constantly see everything. So it is really immersive, like, for that kind of first-person sort of game. Like, they've just done a really good job in making you feel like you are that person, I think, anyways. So I think you'll enjoy it. It is a shame that you can't get your hands on it. I'm sure people are probably... I mean, I've not even checked to see if people are selling the copies of the game. They might end up selling them for, like, ridiculous amounts because you can't buy it in store anymore. I mean, online.
Well, you can buy physical copies. You can buy it online. You can still buy it, but you just can't buy it digitally, so you can't buy it on the PlayStation Store. Okay, yeah. So it's still available, but I don't know. I don't necessarily want to buy a copy at this precise... I would like to see what it's like, but maybe I might wait, and if they are able to bring it out again once it's been, all the issues have been fixed and addressed and what have you, then I would purchase the game, because in there I wouldn't want to have like a £50 paperweight. I would like it to actually work and do something, because I've got cheaper paperweights, do you know what I mean?
It'll be fine. It'll be okay on I say it'll be okay.
I've got Street Fighter Champion Edition as a paperweight, so...
I feel like you're very unfortunate though, like when it comes to games, because it's like Last of Us all over again. I had zero issues, you had loads of issues, so I probably have like not that many issues on Cyberpunk, and you'd be like, Carrie, I can't even play it.
I was saying something like last week. I don't know what it is, but drama seems to follow me whenever I do something. Everything seems to happen in a very There's a story I've got to tell you later, by the way. You will find it very interesting. So Cyberpunk, unfortunately, it's a no for me at the moment. But when you bring it back out, I'll definitely give you a go. But it ain't going well, mate.
It ain't going well. For the Cyberpunk.
I want to know what Keanu Reeves is doing. Is he sitting in that office like, fuck?
What you done, lads? What you done?
Better call the John Wick producers and get a number 4 out, because this has just dragged my rep.
Oh, it's unfortunate. But like, it was the main game of this year. I think everyone was looking forward to. I mean, obviously, we all enjoyed Last of Us. No, we didn't all enjoy Last of Us. I did.
All enjoy Last of Us.
But Cyberpunk was definitely like, I think, the finale of the year, and it's just like, thanks. You know, it's like, oh.
It's just the final kick in the teeth from 2020, isn't it? Really. The release Cyberpunk. Well, moving on very quickly then, just to have a brief discussion. So we did watch the Game Awards, didn't we? We did. And were you happy about some of the awards and nominations and stuff that were happening? Do you agree with the Game of the Year? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you not?
Well, so for those not sure who didn't see, it was The Last of Us that won Game of the Year. I'm looking at your face and you're looking very much like, meh, okay.
No, because I just feel happy.
And you're
that
the mega
it got
fan,
respected
so
for what it is, because it got so much shit, and I think honestly it was a fucking good game, you know, and it just goes to show that it got its awards. And I also agree with like Among Us as well. They got quite a few awards.
Yes, they did, didn't they?
Too right. Like there's only a small development team, but they really pushed the boat out. As soon as that game got picked up, people realised what a great little concept it was, and you know they've released it across every single platform. It's free on some platforms, and on Steam it's like £3, so it's really affordable. And I think they've just done a really good job. So I thought, like, congrats.
See, and that game is a whirlwind success, because from what I've read before is that game's actually been out for a little while before it became big, and they were actually just going to make a Last of Us. They were going to make a part 2 to Among Us, but instead, once it gained traction, decided to cancel part 2 and just focus on improving the game that they had and then making new maps for it. So it's funny that they were just going to make a series of short games like Among Us 1, Among Us 2, Among Us 3, but then ended up just basically pulling a Fortnite, really.
Yeah. Fortnite Fall Guys saga, wasn't it?
Yes. Speaking of Fall Guys, have you played the new season?
No, I still have never won a crown.
Played it last night for a good couple of hours, the winter season. It's fun. My friend got a crown. I didn't, so I'm not bitter, but it's fine.
We're never gonna get crowns. We're just not those kinds of people that gets a crown in that game. Though I've not.
We're
played
not, because it's too easy.
I haven't played it for a while. I'll be a bit rusty. I probably wouldn't even get past the first round, to be honest.
Love that. Soundtrack award went to Final Fantasy VII. Very happy about that. Were you happy about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always absolutely adored Final Fantasy soundtracks. I think those are brilliant. Like, always good. Like, I adore Final Fantasy X soundtrack. I would happily listen to that when I'm just cleaning my house. Do you know what I mean? Like, just whack it on. Yeah.
We're just doing the vacuuming.
Yeah, just doing the vacuuming.
Love that.
Who did you want to win Game of the Year then? Because
well,
obviously you've not even played part 2.
Last was 2.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. And I believe that, well, personally, I know that Final Fantasy was up for nomination. I'm going to double check that very quickly to make sure that I'm not talking nonsense. So, Game of the Year nominations, I'm pretty sure it was. Right, so yeah, the Game of the Year nominations were, so Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing's New Horizon, and The Last of Us Part 2.
I'll be honest, I'd have been happy if Animal Crossing had won either way.
I knew you were going to say that. Animal Crossing, I think, is very weird considering the other games it's in the category with.
It's so
like
good.
intense RPGs, like horror stories, like gripping, beautiful games, and like remakes and like supernatural shit, and then it's just Animal Crossing, which I think is
good. Like, it's so. I was the first person to be like, God, Animal Crossing, and my friend got it and was like, get it, and I was like, oh. And then I found it for like a little bit cheaper, so I bought it and I was hooked, like 24/7, like panicking if I didn't go and fucking sort my plants out. Like, it's just so good. Oh, whatever. But yeah.
See, I have like a thing where I want to play it because I feel like I enjoy those kinds of games and I get sucked in. 'Cause it's a bit like The Sims, isn't it? But then it's almost like I run my own life in my daily life. I don't know if I have time to run another daily life in my daily life.
It just hits different. All right.
It's different. Okay, so I must be honest with you. I've seen footage and stuff from all these games, but I haven't played Doom Eternal. Obviously, I've played Final Fantasy VII. That's a no-brainer. Ghost of Tsushima. I know that you've played Ghost of Tsushima quite a bit. Hades, I've had no interaction with whatsoever. I was actually quite shocked.
But it's a big hit. Like, everyone loves it. It's done really, really, really well. I've been meaning to play it. It's like a roguelike number.
It looks very anime.
I guess you can say that. Yeah, it's similar. It's like Bastion. I don't think you've ever played Bastion, though.
Oh, no, but I know what it is.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Looks really, really good. I will play it eventually. Just, I wouldn't choose that over games like Last of Us or Animal Crossing or anything like that.
Okay, well, Hades, maybe I'll give you a go. Animal Crossing, we've just discussed. And The Last of Us Part 2, obviously, which I'm leading up to playing, but not. But obviously, I suppose you can say it's one of the only games I've played in the lineup. But Final Fantasy VII, for me, original, remake, whatever, will always be top notch. I've actually got a little quiz which would be quite fun. Maybe we could do for our next episode.
Ooh, okay.
Where we could answer questions about. It's like it was sent to me last week. It's like favorite game, least favorite game, favorite protagonist, favorite male, favorite female. I think that would be a good little discussion. Yeah. It'd be fun. Shout out to Maria for sending that to me. Thank you so much.
Maz.
Cheers, Maz. Best Game Direction Award. Okay, so this was up. So Final Fantasy was up for this again. Ghost of Tsushima was up for this again. Hades again. Half-Life, the new Half-Life game, was up for this. Half-Life Alyx, I believe you pronounce it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Alyx. And then Last of Us Part 2. And they won that as well. So it's interesting. It makes you wonder, where's the fakery? Was all the hate the fakery, or was the win the fakery? Like, because there's no way that millions of people were like, I hope your whole family dies of cancer. This game sucks. Oh, give it Game of the Year. So, like, it just goes to show, were the haters just random Twitter people pushing some shit out on the internet, and actually there was an overwhelming amount of people that loved the game that didn't speak up, or is the win a pity win? Which do you think it is?
I mean, obviously I'm going to say I think it was deserved.
Yeah.
But I can understand that there probably were people that decided, that had never played the game, that had voted it to win because they knew that there was loads of people that didn't like the game, as a kind of a way to, like, you know, it's just, I just feel like the whole gaming sort of scenario at the moment is so kind of like cutthroat and like scandalous. Do you know what I mean? It's like a scandal with like everything.
A scandal.
So maybe it wasn't a genuine win. However, I'm glad it did win because I think a lot of hard work went into it. So, and
also 2 separate awards. So like, that must mean something. But there was a bot scandal. Did you see when it came to Game of the Year? And it was during the actual awards that we watched live. It was kind of, well, not even mentioned at all. But there was a whole thing on Twitter, and I can't remember which one it was now. But it was like I think it was between Ghost of Tsushima and of Last of Us, and they were kind of like almost neck and neck by like 5% or something.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Last of Us has 0 votes. And Ghost of Tsushima had 100%, or vice versa. Either way, something happened, but apparently that was just more Twitter nonsense. And this is just why social media just needs to actually just disappear off the face of the earth.
Social media is so toxic, and yet we all spend hours of our lives just like looking at stuff. I have backed away from social media recently. I've been like, mate, I need to just, because I'll just get lost in a rabbit hole indefinitely reading like game news and like bad opinions and bad and shit hot takes, and I'm just like,
it's just not the one.
Time away. Yeah.
The couple of the awards that we'll discuss. Best narrative. Now, this one I thought was so interesting. 13 Sentinels at GS Rim, must say. Not heard of that. Maybe I'm out of the loop.
I've heard of it, but I've never played it myself.
No, weren't here for it. Final Fantasy, again, was up for it. Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Last of Us Part 2. And Last of Us Part 2 won that as well. So it won a third award, which was Best Narrative. Now, that was like... That is an award I think it truly deserved. I do think, honestly, that and Final Fantasy would have been neck and neck, because Final Fantasy really is a fantastic narrative because it was so good that it stretched over 20 years and been remade and pushed forward.
Yeah.
But Last of Us was a deserving winner. But I think I would have been happy either way if Final Fantasy or Last of Us won this. And obviously, I won't even say the other ones because it's roughly the same lineup. But best art style, Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think anyone can argue with that. No. I've not played Ghost of Tsushima, but I've seen so much footage and it does look absolutely beautiful.
I can never remember the word, but it's got a certain setting, so it's like you're playing like an old school kind of like samurai film. You know, it's all like kind of black and white and different colours and things
retro.
like that. And there was a lot of like it is a beautiful game. I'll give it that. The art direction.
Is it filter you're looking for?
Yeah.
It has a filter.
But there's a specific name for it, but I'm just really bad at remembering anything. So.
Okay. Yeah. And then best musical score, which we just said did go to Final Fantasy, which I was very happy about because the music in Final Fantasy is fantastic. It really does pull at the heartstrings. And another one, best audio design went to Last of Us Part 2. And then best performance. Now this one was really interesting because it was like a set of characters. Like, did it go to Ashley and Ellie, Laura Bailey and Abby in The Last of Us Part 2? No, start again. Right, best performance. I read that completely wrong. So the best performance.
You just read the whole thing backwards. It was like,
wait a minute. I was like, I'm having a stroke. Hold on. So the best performance, so voice acting performance, went to Ashley Johnson as playing Ellie in Last of Us, or Laura Bailey as playing Abby in Last of Us Part 2. I'm not even going to attempt to murder this name, but the Last of Us, the Ghost of Tsushima voice. I'm not even going to attempt to say that name. Logan Cunningham has Hades, and Naji Jita as Miles Morales. And I thought it was really interesting that Miles Morales was included in so many awards as a nominee, because it had literally been out minutes, and I don't think it had enough time to garner any support, which I think is a bit unusual to include it in many things, but hey ho. And it went to Laura Bailey playing the performance of Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. So Last of Us Part 2 kind of cleaned up massively. Between them and Among Us, there was like no awards left for anybody else. So well done to them.
Well done to them. I'm not surprised. I mean, Laura Bailey, I think she did a fantastic job. I think she took on that role really well, and the voice acting's great. And she had so much shit to deal with after that game was released. Like, so much shit. So I think I remember watching it, and her speech went on for like a solid like 40 minutes or something. I was like,
it was a bit long. I was like, all right, love, calm down.
Yeah,
I was like,
this is going on a bit. But like, props to her. Like, she did deserve that. She got a lot of shit, but she did a really good performance. So I was just like, I'm happy with that, you know. Or I'd have been happy with Ashley. So either way, it was like, you know.
Either way,
I'm just.
But then again, so two nominations for Last of Us. So again, clearing up in every
like,
way.
They really, but they hit all bases. All like, I feel like that game did. It had a great soundtrack, so I'm not surprised it was nominated for things like that. Narrative, obviously, there's no reason why you'd never include it. Like, they hit every post, so it was going to be nominated for everything pretty much, and it would probably have won it because it was, I think, extremely polished game, like very polished game.
Yeah, definitely. There is one I wanted to talk about, which I found very strange. Not very strange. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me if I'm being weird or not. Best ongoing game. So awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Now, up for nomination was Apex Legends, Destiny, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky.
I actually guessed this one right.
But no, see, I didn't guess this one right because I thought.
Fortnite?
I 100% thought it was going to be Fortnite because, from all intents and purposes, No Man's Sky does not have the best reputation whatsoever. And, like, that game, to me, was boring and pointless. Is that a brave opinion?
No, I don't think it's a brave opinion. I think in the beginning, I feel like it was. They really learned from their mistakes, and they kept updating it and listening, and I think that's what really gave them the edge, because it was like, it started off bad, but over time it's become its own game that people enjoy, and everything that was moaned about they were fixing and including, and I guess you got to give props to a company that listens to its players and helps the game and makes it what it should have been according to the players, you know. So it was like, I get it. Whereas Fortnite, it was always kind of a hit, and it's always going to be around, and we get it, you know. And they can't do wrong now because they've made their platform. Whereas No Man's Sky had to really kind of climb the ranks again, and I think it managed to pull that one away. But
okay, fair enough.
I guess No Man's Sky purely on that reason, but I was also partly shocked that it weren't just Fortnite either. So
yeah, when they read out all the nominations, I was like, okay, well, it's obviously going to Fortnite, isn't it? Like, and then when they or COD, and then when it turned out to be No Man's Sky, I was like, but I thought everyone hated that game. But I suppose if a lot of people, if it is I know it's a constantly developing world, and it's meant to be like you can never actually. There's not enough time in your lifespan to actually complete all the different worlds that are like being randomly generated and stuff. So that's fine. So, well done to No Man's Sky. Best action adventure went to Last of Us Part 2 again, and then best role playing, which I was quite excited about, did go to Final Fantasy. I mean, its competition wasn't very, it wasn't sort of loads of hard hitting games to me. I mean, the only one that obviously is another Yakuza game was up there, and Persona 5, but obviously I'm sure that had to go to Final Fantasy. There was no way that was going to anyone else. Best fighting went to Mortal Kombat. Like, a lot of good games. And finally, best family went to Animal Crossing. So well done to Animal Crossing. And there was loads of other games. It was like a 2.5 hour affair.
It was a long one, yeah.
It was a long one, and it was an interesting ceremony.
Did you just hear my cat?
I did just see.
I'm not giving you attention. I'm podcasting. It's Francine.
We're busy.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting to watch, but I did fall asleep for the first 20 minutes. We did have this conversation.
It was a slow start. I skipped ahead to
the
main stuff.
Well, the chick at the beginning who was just like reading out loads of random awards, that bit was quite boring.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So, what did we think of Dragon Age?
Oh, okay. Okay, Jesus Christ. Right, let's start again. Podcast. Right, go. So, in equal parts, utter excitement and complete disappointment.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see more, and I thought, oh my God, we're going to see a little bit more of what's going on. And we saw nothing. We saw a minute clip of Varric speaking. Okay, what we probably learned from this is that Varric will be in the next one again.
He's never
He's never not in it since part 2, which is fine. Love Varric, great character. And then what made me laugh is that when they showed Solus again, and you saw that new character model. Now, that character model was leaked about, I want to say half a year ago, maybe a little bit more. And everyone was like, oh, I don't know where they've got this model from. It's probably just like, what did they say? Like a prototype model that they never actually ended up using. It's not going to be Solus. And I thought, there he is. There's the one that you all said you didn't like. And he's there front and center of the fucking game. So
I will say that I'm curious as like Solus has really kind of been thrown in the front of the game, hasn't it? It's all very much like a Solus party. Well, it was in that trailer, and I agree with you in the sense that I was like really excited but super let down, but also not shocked that again we're not seeing anything. So should we start raising some red flags?
Yeah, 100% red flagged. I don't think anything was shown that really changed my whole life. But obviously it seems more like a continuation, because now we're seeing Solus, like we're seeing the story is actively continuing, whereas from part 2 to part 3 and part 1 to part 2, there wasn't necessarily a proper defining, oh my God, this is you're gonna be seeing this in part 2 or the next part. So it'll be interesting, but we need a whole lot of time to talk about this, I think. So we'll have to do like a whole episode going into it. So there will be one more episode, I reckon, for next week as our Christmas special, and then we will take a couple of weeks break to have actually a Christmas break of our own, and then, well, even though Boris has cancelled Christmas, a somewhat version of a Christmas break, and then we will come back in the new year for 2021 with a brand new set of games to drag through the mud. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Right, okay then, everybody. So we do have social media if you would like to follow us. So please follow us at the TG Breakdown Podcast on Instagram or TG Breakdown on Twitter. And thanks for joining us today. And
have a fantastic Christmas.
Yeah, a good Christmas, whether you're locked down or not. I'll be locked down, so think of me, please. Send me a Christmas present or a Christmas tweet or Instagram comment. Do that. Make my Christmas better. Right. Have a good Christmas and a happy new year, and we will see you in we'll see you next week, and then we'll see you in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right then. Yeah. Bye.